What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining me for another Cheeseburger Chats. Today's episode, just a little bit of a discussion I had with a really great friend of mine, Stephanie, and her husband, Mike, kind of in the background a little bit, you know. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's content. It's about just social issues that we have to deal with every day, and just a couple trains of thought. There's not really any solutions in here, guys, but I would love to know what you think. So make sure you guys drop a comment down below about any of these and let me know what you think about the topics. I want this to be a discussion. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into the conversation. Hope you guys enjoy.
Have a little bit of a thicker skin and not care about those people because those people meant nothing to me. I didn't know that then, but obviously I know that now. And that's how you learn. My nephew, he had no one. I mean, okay, so he was in a school that wasn't appropriate. They didn't have enough staffing, which was the big thing, which is most schools nowadays. And there was a lot of bullying that went on that couldn't be stopped. My mom moved. It was so bad. He was the tallest kid and he was the biggest kid in every class until, well, even now he's 6'4". Okay, back then he was just a tall, big kid. And he ended up he didn't have a bad class. He wasn't picked on bad once they moved out of that area. Um, he didn't have a lot of issues, but he had experienced it. He went to the gym. He lost a bunch of weight. He's like the healthiest kid I know. And he is a buff football player now, like with all his weight gone. Like he's not a fat kid at all. Yeah. See, the thing is, the one thing that I always that I sorry to interrupt. The one thing I always say is if you have your support system anyway at home, it doesn't matter what anyone says about you. Yes, I agree that with Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff now, it's very easy for people to be they can talk big talk online or through text, but not to your face. So I understand that there's more issues now than there was before. But if you have a support system at home and you're being taught that you're loved and who cares what these stupid people are saying, why are so many people offended all the time? Like, you have your support system. When you're a kid, yeah, it sucks and you want to protect them, but then once they grow up, as long as you know that you're a good person, you have people that love you, who gives a fuck what other people say? Pardon my language.
No, it's true. It is what it is.
But I do think that uh, there's too much. You have to, like, I shouldn't have to be so careful with what I say. Like, I feel like too many people get too offended too quickly.
I agree. I agree. And so I guess the big thing was that the reason why I asked you to come on here was because, and this is kind of the start of it all, is what are your thoughts with your oldest son about to go into grade school, kindergarten, preschool area, and
Mm-hmm.
then having another one. Obviously, I think you'll have different opinions when watching the first one be old enough to go into a couple grades before obviously the youngest one is able to go to school. I think you'll
Mm-hmm.
probably have different ideas because you'll understand what the school is going to do and what the kind of the transition and the progress here. But anticipating, God, it's so hard not to use his name. Anticipating,
It's all right.
anticipating him going into school. Um, what are you concerned with any bullying, any aspect of that, or do you think that really just kind of doesn't matter because of the home
I
support
actually
system?
am more concerned about maybe the area we're in. Um, there is a lot of I don't know how to put this. There is a lot of kids that don't have parental supervision.
Hmm.
There's a lot of kids that are not taught right and wrong in our area. There's a lot of, I don't know how to put this in an appropriate way. There's just a lot of kids that will can go to school and do whatever to whomever and never have any consequences other than what the school does for them. So I had concern with that. the school that my son is going into for preschool, so it is a little different, is the same school that my nephew was bullied out of. So that concerned me a lot. But first, I know that the preschool is completely separate, even though it's in the same building. I do know that. And I know that they're a lot more strict. They have more staffing. Like there was real issues. The school is not the same school, so that made me feel a little bit better about it. Um, I just made sure that I made it very clear, even for my 4-year-old, knows that if someone's mean at school, they come home and tell me. If he did something wrong, he has a habit of telling on himself, so I'm kind of thankful for that.
Well,
Or if
that'll
something
change.
happened, he'll
We
tell
all learn
me.
how to lie.
Oh yeah, so
It's a
it's good
skill.
for now.
Yeah.
But
So
when
so bullying really doesn't make you nervous at all. Obviously, things can happen that change your opinion overnight. So obviously, we'll see when we get there.
right,
But right now, you don't really think it's an issue that, as a parent with a kid going into school, like for you personally, you're not too worried about that.
I do have to say, no, I'm not really that worried about it. But I do. I have a child that doesn't have glasses. That's not big. That doesn't have any kind of learning disability or impediment or anything like that. So he's not really.
The first one that's going to get picked on.
Yeah, if he gets picked on, it's gonna be because of a certain crappy kid. It's not gonna be
Well,
because of you know.
I mean, he bullies you around, so he might just be the bully. I mean, so that's the other side of things. I mean, so part of being a parent as well is how do you teach your kids the inverse of this? Like, how do you deal with him being the bully potentially? Like,
Well, so I do know that with my family, I have a diverse family. I have a family of all sizes.
mhm,
Um,
literally,
I mean, we have people with glasses. We have mixed kids in our
in your
family.
immediate
We
family,
have,
yeah.
yeah, we have bigger kids. We have super skinny kids. Not in my family, but in my family.
Hmm.
Um, we have, like, I have a cousin that almost died because she actually does have real celiac disease. Like, so we have everything in our family, or a big chunk, to where he sees all that. He's aware of that. That people are out there that are different, and he knows better than to make fun.
Well, it's good. So, and I think a lot of times, the stories that we've heard for bullying and all these like suicides and stuff, I feel like it's not just the one kid either. It's usually a group of kids that gang
Right.
up. So obviously that's nothing that you can prevent without um, not necessarily oversight, but without giving away too much trust. And
Right.
you know, I just feel like in the age we always talk about the generation that we're having as children being the ones that are grown into technology, and they're gonna know all this amazing things, later in life, and they're gonna know how to use computers from the ground up, and we're still gonna be typing calculators and typing boobs. You know what I mean? Like, and that's just kind of how we're raised, and some of us have acquired more ability to work with electronics than others at our age. But there's a lot of people that are younger than us, and we're in our 30s. So there's people younger than us that still kind of that bottom side of the generation that we're a part of, that really just didn't really get into computers and electronics in general. But the kids, they're born with iPods, man. They're born with iPhones in their hands, and I think that's where a lot of this bullying comes from, like the cyberbullying, the
Yeah.
immediate information of like, well, it's popular for me to post a video to TikTok. It's popular for me to make sure I'm posting every day to Instagram. It's popular for me to make sure that I'm friends with everybody, even the people that I hate, on Snapchat. and snap
Right.
pictures that I probably shouldn't be because I don't actually feel comfortable in my body and I'm looking for support, but all I'm getting is negativity. Like all these things that
Right.
are going on in society right now, I think are really what's causing a lot of this. But it also gives people an opportunity to gang up on people. So it,
And when you're in a group, even when you're in a group that's not cyber, like if you're in a group in school that's making fun of someone, it's easy to not say anything. Even if you're not involved, but you're standing there, you're still involved.
mhm,
And it's easy to do that. When it comes to technology, it's 20 times easier. People, pardon my language, but people have bigger balls online than they do to
of
people's
course,
faces.
of course,
Um, right. So, and then when you get in a group of people online, it's even worse. I hope that I never have to deal with the whole cyberbullying to the point where my son would ever consider suicide
hmm
or anything like that. But I do know that,
I don't think we'd wish that on anybody.
well, correct, right, exactly. Um, and I'm not there yet. I have one teenage nephew,
Hmm.
um, and the rest are a little bit younger. So
And we're
we haven't crossed that bridge yet.
and it's something
But I do
that
know that just letting them know that they have support is the only thing you can do, at least at the beginning.
right. But I think there's a lot more to that as well. Like definitely having a support system where they trust you to come to you with
Mm-hmm.
things that they're worried about, which is really hard to do, man. Because man, my coworker told me the other day, I was like, God, man, my 13-year-old is just he's changing. I don't know what better to say. He's like, I know how you feel, man. My 18-year-old man, when he turned 13, 14, the aliens came down and sucked out his brain for a couple years, and he's just starting to get it back now. Like, but seriously, like, it is so hard for them to for God, I don't even know how to
No,
say it.
look,
Like,
see, me and my mom are best friends.
mm,
We were close growing up. We're best friends now, but there was a period of time where she didn't know much about me.
mm-hmm,
I wouldn't have told her any of the stuff that I was doing or involved in, and I was a good kid,
yeah.
let alone if I was doing stuff I wasn't supposed to be doing.
Well, I mean, there was probably some things that you're
There
glad she
was
didn't
some
know.
things. There's always some things
Of course there is. I
with
mean, we were all
teenagers,
kids. We grew up together. So,
but I
um,
was still a good kid compared. And my mom didn't know half of what I was doing, so
right. So you were always
I
a good kid.
understand.
Even that happens. But no. So yeah, I just think it's hard to make sure that the kids always come back and tell you when something's wrong. But
Yeah.
I think if you do the parenting the right way, that's the opportunity. But I think the trick also that I've found personally is that being the friend isn't always the best way to parent. But you,
Nope.
you can be both, but you have to set the ground rules the proper way with the kids because then they just think that you're a cool mom and you're a cool dad. And I don't know. I have an issue with that because I've seen what that does on the polar opposite side,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Because it's very easy to step over that line unwillingly as a parent as well because I've seen favoritism, one child over another. I've seen one child getting more presents at Christmas than another. Like things like that affect kids for the rest of their life, and it sucks, man. It sucks being able
Hmm.
to even on the outside of these people's families and watching this happen. Like it's terrible. But anyways, so I don't know. So you're not afraid of your kids going to school and getting bullied. You're not afraid of them really worrying about pronouns and being politically correct, if you will. And I hate that saying because politically, really, it just doesn't make any
But
sense. But
knowing that I say that I'm not worried about it, I know I'm going to have some issues with that because I know that it's going to be strict. Like you said, in 5 years, what are bathrooms going to look like? We don't know. So with me teaching my son that you're a boy or a girl, especially when you're a kid, or you know, don't don't listen to what people say. Who cares? about bullying, things like that, as long as you can, of course. He's may come into some obstacles himself because his parents don't go completely to maybe what we should be doing.
I got you. So this is a little off topic, but have a serious question for you, and I didn't like tell you I was going to ask you this, but because of what you did in high school, wrestling, I am curious because we come from a smaller community. So I played soccer, I ran track for a year, but I played soccer all the time, and at no point was our soccer team ever boys or girls. It was co-ed because we didn't have
Mm-hmm.
enough people to ever field a team for both sides, and that was fine.
Right.
I never had a problem with that. But my point is that wrestling was not that way with most
No.
places, except in our small community. The area where we grew up, you did have to wrestle guys, right?
I do have to tell you that I was the first female wrestler,
Mm-hmm.
me and another girl that joined, and it wasn't welcomed.
Yeah.
Even
So
the coach was blunt with us that
yeah.
that's not what he wanted to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But he wasn't going to turn us away, and we proved that we wanted to actually be on the wrestling team. It wasn't for for
Publicity.
there you go.
Rep.
Or anything like that. So that it
Yeah,
was
you earned
real,
your
and
spot.
then at that point he couldn't. I earned my spot. He couldn't say anything else.
Right. So here's the question. Here's what I've been like hearing and seeing, and I don't know how to feel about it either. It's just another one of those issues that I don't know, man. So obviously you don't wrestle anymore. You don't do
Right.
any like Muay Thai or fucking anything like that. You're not a fighter. You're not So this literally might mean nothing to you at all. But having that background and you also being a female and being in that yourself, so with this gender thing going on, there's the UFC, there's the wrestling, there's the Olympics, there's all sorts of things that have everything to do with these contact sports, and now there's high schoolers that are being talked into, if not, I have a feeling that they're actually being talked into doing this, but some of them, maybe not all of them, and probably definitely not all of them, but they're all being talked into identifying as an opposite sex to compete.
Oh, I would never do that.
But how, in today's age, how do you say no? Like when
Okay,
it's
so I guess I'm confused. In order to participate, they have to pretend. Is that what we're saying?
no. So there's track. This has happened in track. So guys have um, admitted to identifying as a woman, not so that they could compete, but because of that, they are now competing against women in a men's body.
And I
They're
don't agree with
breaking
that.
records. They're breaking world records at some points.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I think that's craziness. I think that's part of the problem with some of this is that just like anything that comes about that's new, people will do anything to take advantage of it and to manipulate it. And that's why you have to come up with, if you're going to do the vague or you're going to let people identify differently, you need to come up with new rules. It needs to be different. It's not just female or male if you can say, I feel like a man today.
Hmm. All right, so I made a video for just Facebook the other, like, I don't know, a couple weeks ago about stuff that was just really kind of bothering me. I've never really asked anybody else's opinion about this, although I've heard other people talking about it. So you as a woman, now it bothered me, so this is why I'm bringing it up, but you as a woman,
Okay.
the big topic that I kind of brought up on Facebook a couple weeks ago was the fact that um, transgender women post-op were upset that biological women were talking about their periods at work. I, your face tells me that you feel the same way about me, but I hold on. So the big problem here was that they felt like they were shunned and they were left out of it's basically like high school, right? you go to high school, you're not in a clique, you feel like an outcast. And that's kind of what they said they felt like because they were a woman, but they couldn't have their
All
periods.
right.
So where does it stop? Where does it stop? Where can, if a guy walks into the bathroom and he has a penis and he has tits because he hasn't had them removed yet because he was born a woman, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe he doesn't even have a wiener yet. Maybe he just had his boobs chopped off. Let's just go that way. And I'm at a urinal, and then he walks in. Is he allowed to take offense to me using a urinal?
The whole offense thing, that's on a personal level. If you take offense to something, that's not on saying it when they're not saying anything directed towards you. So not to get off subject, but just because it's fresh, I have a 4-week-old baby. I had a C-section. I also cannot breastfeed. So that's the same thing as saying if my coworker was talking about breastfeeding, then I get offended. My coworker is talking about having a regular delivery and I get offended. That's craziness. That's craziness. If I get offended, that's on me.
I agree. I agree, and I don't know why it was ended up being such a big thing. Like, the biggest thing about this was that I think it was so appalling that people were actually bringing it up as a defense,
Like that it was a real
like it was a
argument.
real reason to be upset. Like,
Well, you
I
know,
just
people
don't
can get upset
understand
about
people,
anything,
man.
but that doesn't mean anything will change.
Well, and getting upset about something doesn't necessarily mean that it has to change, right?
So what I'm teaching my 4-year-old right now is that it's okay to be angry. It's not okay to act certain ways because of it.
Mm. I'm teaching that to my 13-year-old and my 36-year-old girlfriend as well.
I'm sure to like that.
No, she's great. But yes, I am teaching her that.
But you teach kids that at a young age. If adults can't handle it, where the heck is society going to be in a couple of years? I mean, come
Hey,
on.
and that's the magic question, right? Where are we going to be at in a couple years? I mean, I know where personally I want to be at in a couple years, but the biggest thing now I think isn't necessarily what I do with my life. I think there's so many things out there that's changing and molding and manipulating. Like, I find it even hard to find jobs that are or have a job and not feel like I'm offending somebody by feeling one way or another. Like, I can't have an opinion anywhere in public anymore except for a forum like this, and that's why I do these.
Mm-hmm.
Because honestly, like, this is one of the very few places I feel like the media isn't gatekeeping, and I'm allowed to feel however the fuck I want to feel because fuck you if you don't feel the
Right.
way I do. Don't watch my fucking video. You know what I mean?
All
I
right.
mean,
So that's the thing. Sorry, I keep cutting you off.
no, you're fine.
Um, so I wrestled in high school. Okay, many people are against that, including my own mother, until I did it. Okay, when I got out of high school, almost every single one of my jobs were man based. I worked in sporting goods. I sold ammo. I answered questions for men that didn't want to have to hear anything that I had to say. But if I choose to be in that situation, I know people are ignorant everywhere in every society. And if I can't handle that, then I wouldn't have been working there. I wouldn't have been wrestling if I couldn't handle people's opinions because everyone has them and no one cares about most of them.
Except for the people that have them, right?
Right.
Um, so you think so? How much bullying do you think that you had when you were growing up?
Growing up, um, I actually had a little bit more than probably some people know about. But I was the ugly duckling out of my group of friends. So even though, like I said, when I graduated high school, I was under 120 pounds, and I was still one of the bigger ones in like junior high and going into high school because it was a small school. So I did deal with being targeted, a little bit of bullying. I dealt
Well,
with that more than other people in my class, and I'm here today fine.
yeah. So do you think that as a result of that bullying, even though we would rather look back and have fond memories opposed to negative memories, right? and be able to forget all the bullying. Do you think any of that molded you personally into the person that you are today?
Oh yeah. It gave me a little bit thicker skin. And it made me learn maybe earlier than I would like my kids to learn that um, don't care about what other people say about you. Like, have a thicker skin. I mean, I liked shooting guns and selling ammo and doing all those things. And if I cared, I wouldn't have worked and things like that. I would have let it hold me back. If learning how to not care what other people think made me join the wrestling team because it's what I wanted to do and not care. Like,
Hmm. No,
so I
that's
don't
good.
agree with bullying. I don't agree with that at all. I do know that every person in the world has dealt with some kind of bullying in their lifetime. I haven't met a single person, popular or not, wealthy or not, has a great career or not. It doesn't matter. Everyone has dealt with something in their life where they felt targeted or bullied. And the people that take offense to the point that they can't live their life are the ones that lives are being affected. Like, if you learn how to deal with it, people are mean, especially now, like you said, with cyber
Yeah.
bullying and all
Just
that
not being able
being.
to get away from it. Like back when me and you
Yeah,
were in school, we could go home. If we fought somebody on the way home, we fought somebody on the way home. And guess what? We arranged that shit at school, went and fought, and
right.
then went home. And then it was done. I mean, like there was no internet. Like I would literally walk home to somebody else's house just to ask if I could come over for a little bit until my mom got off work. Like it's completely different
Oh
today.
yeah.
So I mean, like I agree with you. I think that it is different with the bullying and everything. Being that you can bully somebody while they're laying in bed at night trying to go to sleep, like it's
Yeah.
ridiculous. Like it's just never ending, right? But I think that's where us as parents need to come up with a different plan. Not saying that we should encourage bullying, but
No.
we are human. We understand. We've all If you are 30 years old, if you're 25 years old, if you're 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, you understand what it's like to be 13. You understand what it's like to be 15, 18, and in high school want to be the popular kid. You understand what that is and what that does, and like you might not like remember all the hormones that are going through your body and like coursing through and like all these new emotions and shit that you fucking like care about. You might not remember that shit, but you understand that it was that time that happens. Like it's not an excuse for kids to act the way that they do, but understanding that they do is the exact reason why I think we should have some preemptive measures on being a
Mhm.
parent. And starting with, like you said, making sure that the children understand that you are a safe place to come to. And that's the whole thing that they always talk about with bullying at school too. Like the teachers are the safe place to go to. But in reality, are they? I don't really know. In my opinion, I don't think so because the teacher's gonna fucking tell. The teacher's gonna tell somebody that somebody's gonna find out that somebody told on somebody else, and it's just this whole drama that ensues, and it doesn't fix anything until we educate the people that are doing it, the people that are managing it, and how to manage it in general. And that's again, in just my opinion. I don't know. I don't know the right way. I don't have a solution. I don't know. I feel like a lot of it starts at home.
Well, it has to. The problem is that there's a lot of homes are broken homes.
Hmm.
More now, I feel like, than maybe there was before, or just it's more spoken about. Um, a lot of kids nowadays are dealing with more than just bullying. They're dealing with, like I said, broken homes, and
Like,
there's a lot more grandparents raising their grandkids and all that thing, and that it brings up a lot more. So for those parents, which are the grandparents trying to be the parents and the grandparents, and for the parents that seem to be more of a rare case where both mom and dad are together and kids are full siblings, and you need to your kids need to know that there's other you know the same reason with anything. teach your kids not to stare at a kid that has a disability. It's the same thing.
Well,
You
but you
teach your
tell them
kids
that, and
that,
that's like asking them to stare.
right. Well, I mean, and you tell them, not everybody's the same. If you teach your kids that, then I feel like that's the first step.
I agree.
But,
I agree. I think we both agree that a majority of the coaching from all this stuff and how to make it better for everybody starts at home. Starts with the parents. But I also think that there's more stuff to think about than just bullying.
right.
Teaching people compassion, teaching children compassion, teaching them
That's
humility.
hard. Yeah.
But it's possible. There's a
Oh,
reason
yeah.
why
I
we
agree.
see stories of kids who find out somebody doesn't have food at home, who wears the same sweater every day, and then he comes to school and buys them, or tells his mom and dad they go out and buy him things, and the kid was the one who did this, right? Mom and
There was
dad
a
had the money.
story on, yeah. Sorry, there's a story in the news about a kid organizing, um, uh, buying a bus. I might have this wrong. Buying a bus so they could take supplies down to an area that was affected by like one of these
Right.
natural disasters.
And
He was a kid, and he
Yeah.
organized it.
well, and just as I think more admirable, I mean, just as admirable, is all the stories about the one or two kids that find out that the other kids in their class are struggling. Their families are, and they do something in secret to help them out.
Yeah.
And not necessarily in secret, but in a way
Just
that
not.
it doesn't make him feel bad for receiving help, right?
Yeah.
And that's just, if not more admirable, understanding that instead of having the opportunity to bully him and have him regret the way he's being raised even more than he already was, or his circumstances.
Yeah. When you have the choice, you choose to be compassionate or empathetic.
And so it's possible to teach children that. I just think it's something that more people need to focus on. In my opinion, again, I mean, as a parent, that's something that I try to do. I try to talk to them and teach them every time they do something I think is wrong. I try to have a conversation about it. And obviously, mine are a little bit older than yours.
Right.
I see you looking up. Does Mike have his dick out, wagging it in front of you?
No.
Oh, okay. He's just watching TV. You're getting fat over there, old man.
Yeah, sometimes.
Go lose some
Depends
weight,
on how much
fatty.
we have in the house.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fat shame you. Nah, you got a dad bod. It
I
is
was
what
gonna
it
say,
is.
That's a dad bod. I'm pretty sure we all know how
Yeah.
that is.
It is what it is. Fuck it. Whatever. So, all right. Well, I guess that's all I had. Unless there's anything more you wanted to add. I mean, with what we've talked about, I know we've covered a whole lot. I'm sure if we were like in person, we'd probably have a little bit more in-depth conversation, debate, argument, whatever you want to have. It's just kind of how we all are. But I think I kind of got your opinion, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I am not
Thank you for having me on.
What's that? Yeah.
Thank you for having me on.
You're welcome. Hopefully the video turns out okay. I'll be honest, I forgot to turn my mic on at the beginning, so I don't know how much of my speaking there was.
Okay. All right.
So
Well,
I
good
fucked
luck.
up a little bit, but it's okay. We'll try to fix it. So anyways, I guess we're going to end there. So
All right.
just go ahead and stop.